You're listening to the Beyond Sunday podcast, where faith journeys extend beyond the Sunday sermon. Join Pastor Jeff Carlson and guests as they dive deeper into spiritual topics, offering insights and reflections that resonate with believers from all walks of life. Join us for enriching conversations in faith, life, and community. This is Beyond Sunday.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Beyond Sunday. We're here. Pastor Jeff here, Pastor Zach there, and Andrew's in the room too. And just welcome to this episode. We're glad that you're here. We wanted to talk a little bit today just about our Kingdom Builders process here at the church. And Zach, I thought it would be fun just for a minute because you are, let me say, historic. Can I say that?
I feel that way. My last name's out on Main Street.
Like that's true. Character. You are historic. So you and I remember, but you remember the days of doing missions giving through Faith Promises. You know, the little cards we'd get. We'd have a service or a couple of weeks, and
we did missions conventions. Like it'd be a 5-day thing we used to do.
Oh yeah,
that's when you were a kid.
Lots and lots of events the whole week, and
the churches would get together, and we'd have
the
one
banquets.
We'd have 5 missionaries, and they'd switch between churches over that weekend. And a big banquet all together.
And then everybody through the week would be like, God, how much do you want our family to give over the next year to missions work, missionaries, whatever. Mostly it was missionaries supporting missionaries, not so much like today we do kind of projects. So like some of the differences that we do now, we still support a lot of missionaries, but we have a lot of projects now.
This might be because missions has changed.
Missions has
over
changed
20 years.
Right.
We were moving out of like the colonialism era of where we were planting American churches overseas. Now we're very much into, we have a project we want to do in your country. And secretly it's a mission.
Right. It's open doors to countries that, we haven't been able to get. In fact, I shared Sunday about the 96 or something % of unreached people live in the 1040 window. And that's still true. And that's been true a really long time. I remember in the 90s, the Assemblies of God talking about the 1040 window. And 60%, I didn't say this Sunday, but 60% of those countries are closed to Western missionaries. So the only way to get in to one of those countries is through some kind of a project or a business. We do things now called business as mission, where the missionaries go sort of
BAM.
We call them BAMs, and they go in. I had a friend that was in Laos several years ago, and Laos it's in the 1040 window over towards the Philippines. And if you don't know where Laos is, maybe you probably do. Anyway, you couldn't get in, so he went to CB Central Bible College with me, and he became an expert at farming, so he could go there and teach people how to grow food, and he was undercover as a missionary.
Well, some people here are familiar with Greg and Lazy Webby. And Greg actually finished, he went a year here at Purdue, so this area knows him, but he came from New Zealand with his agricultural degree and has been in some countries that he could never have gotten into when he first started.
Even some folks that the Fitzgerald family that left us earlier this year to go on mission. I won't say where they are, but they went on mission to a place that's much more difficult to reach, and they're using their Purdue degrees to be in that country and do the work of the kingdom. So you're right. Missions has changed a lot from the guy who, just went overseas and then walked up the mountain and preached to the villages. That still happens in some places, but it's a little bit different how we fund it and how we help the gospel go to these places. So Kingdom Builders is the method that has become, I would say, one of the premier methods. There are still churches that do the Faith Promise thing and do generally just missionary support. What Kingdom Builders has done is it has combined all of the different ways we do missions basically into one bucket. So you've got your missionary support. We still do that. In fact, we're right about $100,000 a year that we give just to missionary support around the world, missionaries all over the world. Almost 100 of them. But then it brings in global missions. So some of these projects we're talking about, so schools or church planting, we've got a number of schools around the world that we support. Speed the Light, BGMC, all these things that are happening. Then it does local ministry too. It takes, I don't remember how many ministries it is locally. So what are some of the missionary ministries we support locally? Parachurch ministries.
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not familiar with the list.
Well, so it's like things like, obviously our own food pantry is.
I promote our own food pantry all the time. Don't tell people at the hospital where I work, but
it's fantastic.
Just did it this week. I was talking to a person who is homeless. Is not the word we're supposed to use. We're supposed to say unsheltered patient. And I said, when you get,
why do we got to change all the terms?
When you get out, just to be polite, I think. Yeah. When you get out, go to Connection Point Church on Tuesday. They will pray for you. I said, and go there this week.
Yeah.
Don't wait. So I hope, and there's 2 people this week I've said that to, actually. So I love our food
We've
pantry.
had over 100 families consistently now for probably 2 months.
Yeah.
And this week we had 118 families that came through. So I was talking to our director, Mick Dalton directs it, along with some other wonderful people that help him. But they're processing now, thinking like, what else do we need to do? And so like every time you or I or anyone in our church gives financially to Kingdom Builders, they're giving to our food pantry because that's how we get the food that we need to then give away. Next week, as we go into Thanksgiving, we'll be giving away, thanks for the partnership with Meijer in West Lafayette, we'll be giving away 100 turkeys and, Thanksgiving dinner to all these families as they come, along with all the things that we normally give them. So it's an amazing. We've had people saved by people praying with them in the car line. We've had people healed, like literal physical healings. So it's been a great ministry.
This year, I'm busy on Tuesdays, but when I used to have a free time on Tuesdays, they would invite me. The food pantry would say, come and you be the guy that stands at the car window and prays for them. And Jeff, it's amazing.
Yeah.
People will open up to you. Some say, no.
Yeah,
not very many.
Lord bless you.
Not very many, and the rest of them are very receptive. Yeah.
I love what our food pantry is doing, and I'm going to say this: if that's the only reason you give to Kingdom Builders is you believe in our food pantry, that's a great reason to be a Kingdom Builder.
It's a good ministry.
And not only that, if you've got time on Mondays or Tuesdays to serve. And I realize like it's in the middle of the day and that doesn't work for most people. Yeah. But man, it's a great place. If you want to get close to the true needs of people, that's a great place to start.
One of the things that I liked about it isn't just a recruiting arm of CPC.
No.
It's CPC helping people, and it doesn't matter whether they're part of our church or not part of our church. We don't make a differentiation.
I think we only invite them to anything if they ask. Certainly, we welcome them.
If we have an event, I think there have been flyers and things. That's all right.
Yeah, but it's not. There's no coercion or twisting of the arm.
It's not proselytization.
You want to come
not
get
the core
food
of it at all.
In fact, just this last week, Mick told me a story of a Ukrainian student that's here. And he was able to pray with her because her family is in Ukraine, and their family just like a couple of days ago got hit by a Russian missile, and they all survived, but like half their house is gone now. And so imagine being able to minister hope through our food pantry to that young girl who's far away from her family.
Yeah.
Has no power to go help them and no doubt worried and like, oh, what's going to happen? And we're able to just say, hey, let's pray together for that. And here's a box of food, but the real ministry is not the food. It's the prayers and it's the support and the love.
Because you and I know church is not just inside of our building.
100%.
It's people. And if we make friends with people that from outside our church, that is powerful evangelism.
Big time.
Opens their lives up to hear about Jesus.
And what you say is exactly right. And that's why one of the reasons that Kingdom Builders is so profound. While there is a portion of it that is helping enhance or build the church, like our elevator last year was part of Kingdom Builders, or maybe if there's, Outbound a couple of years ago was, remodeling all that with Pastor Zach, and Shelley was part of Kingdom Builders. The vast majority of Kingdom Builders is outside of our walls. I said it Sunday, we'll give away about 25% of all income this year through Kingdom Builders to ministries locally and globally. That's pretty remarkable. For us, we obviously have overhead. We have things we got to do. But I love our food pantry, and right real close to it is what God's been doing just since August at Romney Meadows, the neighborhood down south of us here, just a few miles. We've gone just about every Thursday, had a few here and there.
My connection with that neighborhood predates back in the days when I was a hospice chaplain, and I was afraid to go down there when I had a patient in that neighborhood. Yeah. So I kind of wish I had more time. I have to say no to some projects. That's one that I wish I could have been part of to get back to that neighborhood and see who can be reached. Well, I did talk with somebody that knows that neighborhood, and I mentioned that we're doing that. Well, they had seen it actually in our church website or something like that, and they said, "Wow, that is an incredible outreach to have a meal together and share Jesus."
It's unbelievable. And we've got a solid group of volunteers. We need more, so sign up to go help on Thursday nights, even if it's once a month, and you can go down. But they certainly cook, they feed them, serve them, and really they serve them. It's more than just cooking a meal and here you go. Yeah. It really is serving them, and then they usually Roger or one of the volunteers shares a story of Jesus, a moment of encouragement. It's not real long. We're not trying to do a church service or anything like that. But Roger told me maybe it was last Thursday or the one before, I don't remember, that when he got to the end of his message and he gave a opportunity to respond, and there were several people who raised their hand for first-time salvations ever, and then several more who raised their hand to say, I need to get my life right with God and get back with God. Man, just being close to lost people and people that are hurting, people that need someone to help them.
You have the big element of building a trusting relationship, and that's not easy to do. Food is a good way to do it.
It's a great way. Yeah. In fact, it's one of the ways Jesus met with people, right?
It's scriptural.
It's very scriptural. I love it. And I just love, I love all of it. We've got a number of other ones. Our Jubilee Christmas is coming up here in a couple of weeks. That's a Kingdom Builder thing. Linda Seiler Ministries, many of us really love Linda Seiler. There's
recommended her book this week to a guy at the hospital.
Yeah. So she's just so good, and all that she's doing in our nation, all over the nation. Lafayette Urban Ministry, Bravely Women's Health, Gifts of Grace Adoption, International Friendships here at Purdue. Tony Moll runs the car seat ministry.
What does Tony Moll not run?
Well, exactly.
He's like everywhere.
I said a couple of weeks ago, Tony, how would you feel about maybe being a candidate for a deacon? He's like, I don't have time for that.
He doesn't.
He's too busy doing ministry.
And I don't know if people know the car seat ministry. It isn't just like, we buy a car seat and hand it out. It's an entire safety training program that Tony has to be
he takes it seriously.
Licensed. Doesn't he have to have a certification?
I don't know about that.
I think so.
But there may be.
Not just anybody can do it. But it's very serious.
Most of our folks don't even know that happens. And
we just do it quietly.
Yeah. If someone needs a car seat, they can sign up and make an appointment. Tony will meet them here. He will show them. Sometimes they need to
make it fit their car and show them how it works.
Make sure, he hooks it up for them, shows it how to disconnect it, make sure that they know that it's installed properly, and we do infant all the way up to booster seats for toddlers. And so, I mean, probably most people don't even know we do that, and that's a small portion, about $1,000 a year that we spend on our car seat ministry, but it's a real. In someone's life, helpful ministry
you're
to somebody.
Helping a family, and we don't know. Are we saving children's lives?
Maybe,
possibly. That's one of the ideas.
I love it. There's a few more that we, and I mentioned a few other ones on Sunday. Amy Brinkley's recovery ministry, Paul's Plan ministry.
You probably don't know. I'm pretty involved with Amy Brinkley.
You go to the jail, right?
It's not the jail.
Work release.
I go to the Tippecanoe County Community Corrections work release on Wednesday nights. Yeah. And we do a Bible study. And I didn't sign up to do this. She just invited me. She said, we're having an Easter thing, last Easter. Yeah. Would you do the devotion? Yeah. And because Buttery Shelf was going to provide a catered dinner for the participants. We don't call them inmates, the participants. And I'm there with these people who want to come back and make a legal living in society. And I just keep coming back every week. And now we're November, and I've only missed like one or two.
I've been a number of times, and it's you always leave going, man. I'm so proud of these people for truly wanting to put their life back together. And not only that, though, they're coming to this extra thing. They don't have to come. Everybody doesn't come to try to gain some inside soul movement, if you will, so that they can fix their life. Now, that's powerful.
Paul's Plan has some big ideas for the next year.
They do.
And one of the ideas that might be, I think it's funded now, and I hope I'm not saying something out of turn, is to actually go to the jail.
That would be normal for you.
And to have representatives that are able to communicate with the prisoners. So I forget what the exact name of those is.
You're right. They're like mentor people, but help them with jobs. And I know Amy. I've talked to Amy several times about that. And so it's awesome. These things that we help fund. We don't fund it all. We just partner with these ministries, and there's others, and all these are local. Yeah. These aren't missionaries in some foreign country, disconnected from the people that are, our Jerusalem, if you will, God has called us to reach. They're all local things that we support financially. And then, as you're saying, we've got volunteers who also serve. We have people in our church who serve it bravely. We have people in our church. We've had in the past people on the board at Lafayette Urban Ministry and the housing ministry and things like that. So it's really cool. Whenever, not everybody can go to the jail Wednesday night. They can't do it. They don't have the opportunity to go and minister. And there's a good team that does that. Linda Lee's on that team.
Paul's Plan has also a Monday meeting I've never been able to go to either. Like I said, I'm too busy to do everything I would.
It's like a Celebrate Recovery kind of thing. It's close, at their cafe, right?
I don't know. And they have Recovery Cafe, which is also connected somehow with all that. Let me tell you a thing about what all these people network together in the helping of people in recovery or unsheltered people. I got called into the emergency room last week, and the guy looks at me and goes, "How do I know you?" And I said, "Bible study on Wednesday nights." Well, he had gotten out, and now he's unsheltered. And he explained how all these terrible things had happened to him in the trouble, and he's living in a tent. Yeah. And he said, no, my bedding is all wet. I made one phone call to somebody involved with Paul's Plan and these things, and by the next day he had food, he had dry bedding, he had shoes, and we need somehow to follow up with him in our Wednesday nights. I'll bring it up Wednesday night with him.
It's the verse I was just reading in the end of Matthew. And Jesus, it's Judgment Day, so everybody's before God and in judgment. And Jesus says, come into your inheritance. What a great inheritance, because when I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. And when I was in prison, you visited me. And when I was sick, you came and prayed for me, or whatever that sequence is. And what I found astounding was in the next verse, the people go, when did we give you a drink? When did we visit you? When did we do that? And the Lord says, when you did it to the least of these. Yeah. And what he means is those people that everybody else ignores, that society casts aside, when you've done it to the ones nobody cares about and nobody seems to worry about, you've done it to me. And I loved a couple of things about that. One, I loved that the people that did it didn't really know that's what they were doing. They didn't have that concept. They knew they were helping maybe somebody just in their life, but they didn't. Do our food pantry people recognize that every time they hand a box of food into a trunk, into somebody of need, they're doing it to Jesus. They're giving it to Jesus. Yeah. Every time that your group shows up on Wednesday night and talks to the people in work release about the things of God, prays with them,
and listen to them and pray for them.
Listen to them.
Listening's a big part of what we do.
And they say some fun stuff.
we don't have a language filter on prayer requests. It's interesting sometimes about
it's funny to hear
the curse words you hear in a prayer request,
and some of the strange theology. Maybe that it's
interesting.
Fun. But every time that you do that, it's as if you're doing it to Christ.
And that's what's neat about Kingdom Builders in my mind is we're giving to Jesus, and then you and the people that help manage Kingdom Builders and come up with the budget of it, you guys, it goes into action to maybe that guy's blanket that needed a dry blanket. Maybe somehow that came out of Kingdom Builders. I don't know. When I made that phone call, it just got done. Magic. You know, it's not magic. It's God's people networking, and that's what Kingdom Builders is.
And I'm on the side of, you know, you're physically going to the work release. People are, you know, our food pantry team is physically serving. Our Romney Meadows team is physically, so, you know, all these things. These people are executing the ministry. But I believe because of the nature of Kingdom Builders, because of the way the kingdom economics work, every single time somebody gives $1 in our church, somebody gives generously to Kingdom Builders or to a missionary offering or whatever, they're part of that stream. And I think they're giving Jesus the cold drink when he's thirsty, or they're even though they're not physically going, they're part of the process.
I always think when people work, they work hard, and that dollar means a lot.
Yeah,
I always think you worked hard for that money, and God gave you the strength to do that, and then you freely, openly, generously put that into Kingdom Builders. Trust CPC to do the work of God
where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. So like the things coming up right now, you know, with our food pantry Thanksgiving and our Romney Meadows Thanksgiving, our Christmas Jubilee, that's coming up, and we've got a few other kind of end of year projects
it's Kingdom Builder season.
It's Kingdom Builder season. In fact, in December we're going to be taking some sort of directed offerings just for some Kingdom Builders ministry as they go into 2025, and the power of that is not lost on me, but because of, and this is not a plea for funds, because we plan a lot of the funds. Like we plan in December, we know we're going to do Christmas Jubilee and we're going to need $5-6 grand to do that, blah, whatever. Yeah. So we plan it. But every time we get to this point of the year, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel because it's not our philosophy to build up a nest egg and keep that money around.
Right.
We send it out almost as fast as it goes in. There are occasions in the middle of the year or whatever where we have $40,000-$50,000 sitting around because we haven't paid out some of we got a missions trip coming up and we know it's coming, so we've been saving, or we've got, we spend, $8,000 to $9,000 every month on our mission support, just to support the missionaries. So most of the time though, it's like, well, Lord, this is your mission. So if you'd provide, that'd be really, really great. And the thing about God is, can he, make cash appear or random? Yes, he can.
It is, but that is.
But most of the time, that's not how it happens.
That's not the plan of the kingdom. No. God's plan is to use us. And if I my wife would stop me, but if I had money and I started giving to every little thing I thought was really important, like that homeless guy, I could have handed him money, and and maybe at the work release, and I could give money into there. Instead of me going all over the world I do support some missionaries on my own outside of Kingdom Builders.
So do we.
But I can give to Kingdom Builders,
and it goes everywhere.
We can give to Kingdom Builders, and it's doing all those things that I just can't.
You're part of all of it.
I don't have the time, and I don't have the. If I split my money up, I'd be giving one guy 50 cents, another guy $3, and but we work together.
Yeah, it's the power of the collective.
So I would say I'm making an appeal to people: give to Kingdom Builders.
Give something. And I tell you, man, you can't outgive God. I worked for a pastor one time, or served a pastor one time, who always said, "You cannot outgive God. You can't outgive God." And God doesn't care. Like the widow who gave the 2 pennies or whatever. God doesn't care if it's $1 million or if it's $20. If that's what you have, give the $20 if the Lord leads you that direction. I don't think it's coerced to give giving that, you better give or God won't bless you. I don't think it's like that at all.
Just out of generosity, openness of your heart
for the kingdom to advance.
God freely gives to me, and I want to be generous to others because of that.
It's my heart. It's our heart that, everybody at Connection Point in any campus would be a kingdom builder.
Yeah.
And you do that. I said it Sunday. If you haven't listened to the message, I'd encourage you to go listen to it. You got to pray fervently for the kingdom to advance here and abroad. You got to give generously as the Lord leads you. And sometimes you got to go. And sometimes that means on a missions trip somewhere in the world. Sometimes it just means
Wednesday night.
Yeah, it means Wednesday night. Yeah. It means volunteering somewhere. It means showing up for a one-time event to wrap presents at Christmas Jubilee. There's a lot of ways you can go, answer that call to go obediently. But I think all three of those things should be in the life of a kingdom builder. We're praying, we're giving, and we're going.
Right.
And as the Lord leads, without pressure, abuse, any kind of, and there's been people that do that way. We're not that way. We don't want to be that way.
People talk that way about the church. They don't know. It's not like that.
It's not. Only the ones you see outside.
It's but most of them aren't. Sometimes I meet people at the hospital and they haven't given a nickel to God in 30 years, and they're still saying, all they care about is the money.
All they want is my money.
Don't know. It is not like that.
And I totally agree. It isn't like that. It's very different than that. So just to wrap up, I just want to encourage us, each of us, as we look into December, we're going to be receiving kind of a month-long offering, kind of like we did last year. And last year it was very much geared sort of interiorly because we wanted to get the elevator put in, which it's in and it's working, and we wanted to, we had the parking lot project, and those are not exciting things for people to grab onto, and I understand that, but there are necessary things that we do to enhance.
You're not old enough to think the elevator is exciting. I am.
Well, and you're not wrong. And we've got a couple of young kids in wheelchairs or with some handicap, and navigating stairs to their classroom is challenging. Yeah. That was one of the motivators to put the elevator in. So I'm with you. And some of our Spanish speakers who are heading upstairs, that elevator is going to be helpful for them. That now they can bring grandma to church, or even great grandma to church, and we can get them to the room. So anyway, this year though, we're going to focus on a couple things, and I want to mention it just as we close. We're going to focus one Sunday. You can give all month to any of these, but we're going to focus on Sunday. We're going to focus on Speed the Light and BGMC one Sunday.
Great projects.
We're going to focus on, and I set some goals for these, and I'm going to publish this later, but I just want to mention them. We're going to focus BGMC and Speed the Light. We're going to focus on our food pantry in Romney Meadows one Sunday. We're going to focus on our Spanish churches. So the one we have, as well as the one we hope to plant at the Lafayette campus someday. And then the only thing we're going to focus on interiorly is we're going to spend one Sunday talking about some sound improvement to our sanctuary. I'll unpack that another time, but there's some things would really help us. And then in the Lafayette campus, they're going to work on one other project there, and they're going to do a sensory room for kids that have sensory things. And they've already got the vision for it. We're going to try to raise the money for it so they can put that in. And they've actually had folks come to the church that have said, man, if you had a sensory room, I feel like I could be part of this, but my kid can't handle XYZ. So it is a missional project to reach people by doing something like that. So those are the things we're going to focus on. There'll be more info to come, but every dollar that you give, whether in December or next year, to Kingdom Builders, every missionary, if you put $1 in the offering and mark it for Kingdom Builders, you're part of every ministry we support.
Every single project. Everything.
I don't care if you put $1 in or $100,000 in, you're part of that project. And I think God blesses you abundantly because you're part, as I said Sunday, you're entering the fray of the mission of God. And I want to encourage all of our churches to do that, all of our folks to do that. Pray, give, and go as the Lord leads you. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Hey, thanks for listening today or watching, and we're grateful for you and hope this was helpful and meaningful, and if not, tune in next week. There'll be something better, right?
Absolutely.
Have a great day, guys. Bless you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Beyond Sunday podcast. We invite you to join the conversation and share your thoughts at connectionpointchurch.org/Beyond Sunday. Spread the word and share this podcast with others. Stay inspired and connected as we explore faith beyond Sunday.